The Lagos heat lay heavy over Victoria Island as mourners drifted from the churchyard to waiting cars. Amina Adeyemi, 26, stood under a frangipani tree clutching a folded program, the perfume of the blossoms mixing with diesel from the generators. Her father's photo smiled from the glossy cover. Board chair, mentor, single parent since Amina's mother passed. He left a will, but the lawyer had only said, "We'll read it at home." At the house, shelves groaned with books on trade and leadership. Layla, 27, Amina's stepsister, perched on the arm of a sofa, lacquered nails tapping the leather. Her mother, Auntie Bisi, offered tight embraces to guests and tighter smiles to Amina. When the lawyer cleared his throat, the room hushed. The will named both daughters as beneficiaries, but the phrase, pending probate and inventory confirmation, triggered murmurs. Auntie Bisi intercepted the envelope. "Until then, I'll safeguard the deed," she said. Layla's eyes flicked to Amina, a glint of triumph. Night crept in with power cuts and generator rattle. Amina wandered the hallway where her father once practiced speeches. She paused at the study, tracing the map of West African corridors his company used to route medical supplies. "I'll keep your work honest," she whispered. Behind her, Layla's voice slid through the dark. "Some of us were born to host, not hustle." Amina turned, steady. "Some of us were raised to build." Outside, thunder rolled over the lagoon, and a storm gathered that would not be eased by rain. 2 days later, Amina returned from errands to find a new keypad lock blinking red. The steward bowed apologetically. "Madam Bissy instructed maintenance." She said, "Temporary security." Amina rang the bell. Layla opened, expression porcelain. "Probate needs order," she said. "You can take a few clothes, we'll send the rest." Amina stepped into the foyer, smelling lemon polish and lilies. "This was my home," she said. Auntie Bisi appeared with a clipboard. "You are welcome to stay with friends until the process concludes." A driver placed Amina's suitcase by the gate. Neighbors peered through hibiscus hedges as Amina rolled the case toward the street. The sky broke into a fine rain, beating her braids with silver. She thought of calling the family lawyer, then remembered his careful neutrality. In the backseat of a shared ride, she texted an old university friend in Surulere. "Can I crash for a week?" The flat was small. A fan that clacked, a view of rooftops, a kettle that hissed. Amina set her father's fountain pen on the windowsill like a compass. She listed what she had: a first-class degree in operations, a lean savings account, and a spine that had not snapped. At dawn, she knotted a scarf, printed a dozen CVS, and began walking. The city smelled of rain and fire Dakara. Danfoss argued with horns. Billboards promised data bundles and dreams. Lagos would not pity her, but it might reward precision. Jobs did not fall. She hunted. By week's end, the cafe on a Wallowo road gave her night shifts. She learned the machine's moods, the regulars' orders, the way the city softened after midnight. Tech bros argued over seed rounds. Nurses on break laughed with exhaustion. Delivery riders warmed their hands on paper cups. Just before close, a man in a plain navy shirt took a seat by the window, face lit by a spreadsheet on his laptop. He ordered black coffee, then another. When the Wi-Fi flickered, Amina reset the router, then suggested he hotspot through his phone for the upload. "The cafe router drops at 2 a.m., she said. "Time your send for the top of the hour?" He looked up, interested. "You've measured the pattern?" "I wrote it down," she said, showing a tiny log in her pocket notebook. "Peak latency, usual drop." He smiled. "What else have you measured?" "Inventory flow, wastage, peak products by hour." She pointed to the pastry case. "Yam donuts sell faster after midnight if you heat them." The man left a card with a minimalist logo. "OBI Holdings." "Chike Obi," he said. "Come by this week. We like people who count what others ignore." After he left, Amina Googled, "Billionaire, logistics to tech." Rumored to hate flattery, she tucked the card beside her father's pen and exhaled. Outside, the road shimmered with rain-slick neon. She closed the cafe at 3 a.m., then watched the sky lighten like a promise she hadn't dared to make. OB Holdings' reception smelled of citrus and printer ink. Amina wore a clean white blouse, navy trousers, and flats polished to a quiet shine. The receptionist's smile was professional. The security gate clicked her through. In the interview room, a panel asked about choke points in last-mile delivery. She sketched a simple model linking traffic windows, rider incentives, and customer cancellations. Chaiki listened, eyes steady. "You ran a cafe?" "I optimized one," she said. "For free." He glanced at the notebook she carried. "Keep that habit." They hired her as operations associate at the foundation first, pilot projects with market women and rural clinics. She mapped supply routes that accounted for floods and religious holidays. Her reports were unadorned. Her savings grew, and she sent small transfers to her father's old driver for his daughter's school fees. One evening, she brought her team Puff Puff from a stall outside. Cheek joined, sleeves rolled. "You model and you feed," he said. Good leadership tastes like both. Back in Surulere, Amina's friend teased, "Your boss is a myth." "He's a mirror," Amina replied. "He reflects what you bring." Layla, meanwhile, posted photos from lounges and yacht birthdays, captions like, "Number soft life." Amina scrolled once, set the phone down, and ironed her blouse for morning. She wasn't building a feed, she was building a floor. 6 months in, Amina's team audited a contract hemorrhaging money. A favored vendor billed expedited routing for routes that were never expedited. Amina cross-checked GPS pings against invoice timestamps and weather data. The math didn't lie. At the review, a senior manager coughed. "This vendor is sensitive. Money is more sensitive," Amina said, sliding a 2-page summary. Overbilling pattern, proposed renegotiation, alternative suppliers vetted by on-time delivery. Chike read silently, then turned to procurement. "Action this." Full daylight word rippled. The new associate had teeth. Some admired her. A few waited for her to trip. Amina spent Sunday at her friend's church canteen helping portion jollof, then walked the market to chat with women running stalls. She asked what delayed deliveries, what made them trust a company. "When a company calls after you've paid," a woman said, "not only before." On Monday, Amina pitched a simple callback protocol and a rider bonus for early deliveries to drains flooded zones. KP is lifted. Cheek sent a one-line message. "Good work. Continue." That night, Amina dreamt of her father's study, the map of routes blossoming with tiny green dots. She woke with the feeling she had stepped onto a road that had been waiting since before the lock changed. The probate concluded. The house legally shared between daughters. Amina walked the street she'd left in rain and stood before the gate. The gardener opened, surprised but kind. Inside, Layla had replaced books with mirrors. The study became a dressing lounge. "Oh," Layla said, eyes sweeping Amina's simple dress. "You found work?" Amina kept her tone gentle. "I came from my mother's bracelets and dad's journals." Layla leaned against the console table. "You always loved those old notebooks. Take them. The house needs fresh energy." Amina packed the bracelets, the pen, the journals, and a photograph of her father speaking to school children. Before she left, she placed a signed copy of the probate judgment on the dining table. "For your records," she said. Layla rolled her eyes. "You're so formal now." On the way out, Amina paused in the doorway. "I hope you're well, Layla." "Thriving," Layla said, though a stack of unpaid utility notices peeped from a drawer. Outside, Amina breathed in the garden's lemongrass and the faint memory of home. She didn't want the house anymore. She wanted the foundation it once represented: steadiness, fairness, a door that did not slam when life knocked late. Layla's thriving needed content. She took a PR job at a lifestyle brand owned by a subsidiary of OBI Holding, then began leaking whispers. "New associate thinks she's queen. Billionaire grooming protege." Anonymous comments under gossip posts. Amina noticed side glances in corridors, but she kept to metrics and field visit. Then a blog published cropped photos from a foundation event, implying romance. Cheek's legal team moved fast, but the bruise-colored reputations. Cheeky called Amina into a glass huddle room. "We'll handle the blog, but rumors thrive in silence," he said. "Do you want to speak?" "I want to deliver," she said. "Let delivery speak for me." He nodded. "Then I'll speak for the company." At a staff forum, he detailed integrity rules, mentorship transparency, and anti-harassment channels. He didn't name Amina, but everyone understood. Afterward, field staff sent her voice notes. "We're with you, madam." Layla watched the live stream alone in her apartment. The comments did not drift the way she hoped. She tossed her phone on the couch, then picked it up again, scrolling for a new angle. Amina went home, opened her father's journal, and read his note in slanted ink. "Build like you'll hand it to a daughter who deserves rest." She closed the book and slept without dreams. July rains flooded Agege roads. Trucks stalled in brown water. Clinics waited for supplies. Amina deployed a contingency she'd drafted months before. Micro warehouses on higher ground, tricycles for short hops, a WhatsApp tree for hyper-local updates. She rode with a team in a pickup, jeans tucked, boots muddy, documenting choke points. At a clinic, a nurse clasped Amina's hand. "Your father's company used to help here," she said. "He was kind." Amina swallowed. "We're still helping." Back at HQ, she presented real-time maps blipping green as deliveries made it through. Chike watched quietly, then asked, "What do you need?" "Decentralized budget for field leads," she said. "Small money, fast decisions." "Approved." That week, OBI's social channels filled with photos of supplies reaching clinics despite floods. The narrative shifted from gossip to grit. Layla's PR team grumbled. Her manager warned, "Stop poking the bear." In Surulere, Amina's friend stuck a post-it on the fridge. "You are the bear." They laughed till they cried. The board created a new role, Director of Field Systems, reporting to the COO. Amina's letter arrived with a plain, "Congratulations." In the elevator, a colleague whispered, "You skipped steps." Amina answered, "I walked them at night." She reorganized dispatch to empower women riders, added childcare stipends for evening shifts, and installed feedback kiosks at markets. Incidents dropped, satisfaction rose. Chike began looping her into broader conversations: tech acquisitions, agri-logistics in the north, partnerships with mobile money. She spoke only when sure, and when unsure, she asked precise questions that changed the room's temperature. Layla, meanwhile, juggled debts. She posted partnerships that didn't exist, then deleted them. Her manager noticed. "Focus," he said. "Our parent company is evaluating." She smiled brightly and stayed late to fix a calendar she had neglected. One Sunday, Amina visited her father's favorite bookshop. She bought a slim volume on negotiation and another on sleep. She placed them by her kettle, brewed tea, and chose sleep. OB Holdings eyed a merger that would fold Layla's employer under tighter governance. Rumors swirled. Layoffs, audits. Layla imagined a promotion. Instead, she received a notice. All PR collateral must be reviewed by the parent company's central team, Amina's team. Layla marched into the review meeting wearing a precise smile. Amina sat at the head, flanked by analysts. "We're standardizing claims," Amina said. "No inflated metrics. No unverified influencer ROI." Layla's laugh tinkled like a spoon on crystal. "So serious. We sell feelings." "Feelings won't cover fines," Amina replied, sliding a draft policy. "Transparency is cheaper than scandal." The room quieted. Layla's gaze cooled. "You enjoying this?" "I'm ensuring no one else gets thrown out," Amina said. Layla blinked, stung. The meeting ended with signatures. Outside, the sky was a clean, hard blue. Amina stood for a moment, letting the sun settle her. Revenge, she realized, did not need fury. It needed system design. Audit day arrived. The parent company's team sliced through PR spend with precision. Fake deliverables, duplicate invoices, influencer overbilling. The report was merciless. Layla's manager was terminated. Layla was demoted to assistant and placed on a performance plan. She called Amina that night, voice raw. "Are you satisfied?" Amina stared at the ceiling fan's slow wobble. "I'm satisfied that money stops bleeding. I'm not satisfied you learned nothing." Silence. Then Layla whispered, "We were scared after Daddy died. Mum said you'd take everything." "I had a suitcase," Amina said. "And a pen." Layla cried, a small sound. Amina's chest ached, but she did not soften the policy. "You can rebuild," she said. "Start by telling the truth to yourself." After the call, Amina walked the quiet street under a moon that looked like a clipped coin. Revenge, she thought, might be the absence of rescue. Cheek's health scare, minor but sobering, accelerated succession planning. The board named Amina acting CEO during his recovery. The announcement was strictly internal, but Lagos reads whispers like headlines. Staff messaged little fireworks emojis. Riders honked under the building. Amina stepped into the corner office and opened the blinds. The city spread like circuitry. Bridges, markets, alleys of light. She convened a short meeting. "We maintain delivery to clinics and markets, we finish the merger clean, and we rest on Sundays." Laughter broke the tension. She visited departments unannounced, asked mechanics about parts, data teams about outliers, finance about cash cycles. She wrote thank you notes by hand. Layla typed press releases for a different CEO for a different floor. Her team whispered about the new acting CEO upstairs. She corrected them with brittle brightness. "Temporary," she said, but the word sounded like a crack in glass. The merger closed. All PR units, including Layla's, now reported to the corporate brand office, Amina's office. HR scheduled a one-on-one. Employee review. Layla Adeyemi with acting CEO. Layla arrived early, spine straight, makeup immaculate. Amina offered water. They sat. "Your numbers improved," Amina said, "but your claims remain padded." She slid printouts, side-by-side comparisons of posted metrics and actual. Layla stared. "You always loved evidence." "It held me when people didn't," Amina said. "We'll place you on a transparency track with a mentor from compliance. Deliver, and you'll rise." Layla's jaw worked. "You could fire me." "I could," Amina said. "But this is the lesson I wanted and never got. A structured second chance." Layla took a breath that trembled. "Thank you," she managed. When she left, Amina stood by the window. Below, the city moved with the old thunder of commerce. She thought of her father's note. "Build like you'll hand it to a daughter who deserves rest." Perhaps rest sometimes meant ending certain wars. Cheeky returned, leaner, smiling. At the board meeting, he recommended confirmation. Amina as CEO of OBI Holdings. He would step to executive chair. The vote passed with quiet nods. Cameras clicked in the atrium. Staff applauded. Riders revved engines outside like drums. Amina spoke briefly. "We'll be measured by medicines that arrive. Traders who profit, riders who return safely. We'll do small things well and large things honestly." The applause was warm, not fevered. Layla watched from the balcony, hands gripping the rail. Pride, envy, grief, a storm of colors moved across her face. Later, she sent Amina a message. Congratulations. I start my transparency track next week. A minute later, I'm sorry. Amina typed back, do the work. The rest will follow. She hesitated, then added a blue heart, the color of their school uniforms years ago, before adults taught them the arithmetic of scarcity. Weeks later, Amina requested a final meeting, not for revenge as spectacle, but as governance. In a modest conference room, she laid out a simple policy named House Rule. No employee could be displaced or reassigned without due process, housing assistance in crises, and a confidential appeal path. She closed the folder. I wrote this for the girl who had a suitcase, she said. Layla sat across from her, a badge now clipped to a simpler blouse. You turned pain into architecture, she said softly. Amina allowed herself a small smile. Better than turning it into content. They walked to the terrace. The lagoon glittered under late sun. Vendors pushed carts. A child in a school uniform skipped, backpack bouncing. Layla exhaled. I'm learning to start again. Good, Amina said. Start by keeping your promises. In the glass, their reflections stood shoulder to shoulder. Not equal yet, but no longer enemies. Amina thought of her father and the house that was never the point. She had built a larger one, a company where doors stayed open, even in storm season.